Well, all right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My brothers and sisters, citizens of YouTube, Pastor Dowell here. Well, we all know what's going on over there in that country called Israel. And we know that the war that has ensued and pursued, and we know that there's a lot of loss of life. War's ugly, but this is not what this is about. What this is about right now, this is about a particular spiritual condition that a lot of people find themselves in. And I want you to know that these people, on purpose, turn a blind eye and close a deaf ear when it has to do with anything that comes out of that country, especially religion. It's like, no matter what, they're going to stick with them, no matter how many lies, no matter even if they reject the very Messiah that came to buy them, to bought them. Now, if you listen to me any length of time whatsoever at all, I've had people in the ministry that have actually lived, born and raised, and lived over in the land of Israel. And some of them have joined the military forces over there. And the one reason why they joined, because they were promised that if they was to serve in the Israeli government military, that they would get citizenship. Well, I think maybe out of 15 or 20 of them that did serve, only one got citizenship. The rest of them, you try to go figure what's happening. Well, anyway, if you listen to me any length of time, I often talk about what is all this stuff that goes on today, to where everybody comes up with these brand new fabricated movements to separate themselves from the real people of the book. You see, you know just as well as I do that the prophets are right, that the real true Israel is scattered throughout the whole world to the four corners, and the only way they're ever going to be gathered back to that place again is when the Messiah comes and reestablishes his kingdom here on this earth, where his laws, statutes, and commandments are going to rule. He's going to rule with a wrought iron, and he's going to place his people in that land. But when I speak like this, if you notice, here's some of these movements: Judeo-Christianity, Messianics, Hebrew roots, and then you can go on from there. They come up with all these types of names and cliches that they put on these movements to divorce themselves from the actual people of Yah. Now, when you read the book, the Bible, the scriptures, it only makes reference to one people from Genesis to Revelation, because it is a history of that people, the house of Israel and the house of Judah. That's it. When you get over in the New Testament and you see the 3 times that the word Christians is being mentioned, when you look behind that word Christian that is presented to you in English, it means that people almost persuaded them to be a follower of Messiah, never the Christian movement or religion. Think about this for a second. Because in the first century, when the New Testament was written, there were no such things as Christians. Christians didn't come about until the 4th century, the 3rd or 4th century, 300 and something years later. You think about that. So how did it get in the book? Sometimes people have got to start exercising self-autonomy. You've got to. But you're going to find out that there's a lot of people that are spiritually racist and prejudiced towards a certain way that is not even spoken about in that book. And I receive a lot of this negative hate mail, email, comments, and even in the chat room. When I bring out facts, people hate to hear the facts regardless of how much the truth is. Remember, truth always sets free and lies bind. So you've got to figure out under what type of strong delusion are you under. I mean, think about this. From all the way to Genesis to the end of what is called, quote unquote, the Old Testament, that's 5,000 years of history. History of a particular people who are called Hebrews, and they are Israelites. Then when you get to the Renewed Covenant or the New Testament, you have somewhere, I think it took somewhere between 60 and 90 years And yet you got these religions today that's trying to function off of 60 and 90 years of letters and written in different geographical locations, and they throw away everything else. It's nonsensical, isn't it? Well, I said all to say this because, see, I know that the government of Israel rejects Christianity or rejects Christians, or even better yet, watch this. They reject the Messiah, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ. They bought them from their own sources. I'm getting ready to give you something from their own sources right here. All right, look at this. This is called, it's a memo, the Middle East Monitor, the 22nd of March, 2023. Listen what it says right here. All right, I'm going to read this to y'all, okay? Come with me. Christians will face jail in Israel for prophesying under proposed bill. So let's read this. Christians could face 1 year prison sentence for encouraging conversion to their faith. According to a new controversial legislation being introduced into Israel, the legislation which is being proposed by ultra-Orthodox members of the Benjamin Netanyahu coalition would also proscribe Christians from engaging in religious discussions with Jews. Thai proposal Bennett law amendment prohibition of solicitation for religious conversion 2023. The legislation is introduced by the United Torah Judaism, Moshe Ganaf, and Yavcha Isha. The law would apply to anyone who would attempt to persuade someone to change their religious beliefs. However, the legislation specifically mentions the Christian faith, saying that recently the attempts of missionary groups, mainly Christians, to solicit conversation of religion have increased. Then it says, read, Christians, quote unquote, Christians face threat of extinction from radical Israeli groups, warn church leaders. Well, my question is, and I'm not even done with this article yet, is why is it, I mean, gotta think about this. Why is it that we don't never hear about this with all these Christian networks over here? Why don't they ever bring this up and ever read this across their news feeds in their congregation? Why is it in here in the United States of America with all this we report and you decide? Why is this totally mute and silent on this? What is going on? And then people want to try to flip the script and demonize me when I bring out hard, concrete evidence in reference to this. And I go on with the article here for a second. Solicitation, according to the text of the legislation, refers to anyone who solicits a person directly, digitally, by mail, or online in order to convert his religion, and the punishment of such solicitation is 1 year imprisonment. And if the person was a minor, the punishment 2 years in prison. Wow. That's why I had to stop and pause there for a second. According to all the Israeli news, the bill appears to be making it legal for followers of Jesus, Yeshua in Hebrew, to explain why they believe that Jesus is both the Messiah and God, with the hope that the Israelis might consider following him. The Jerusalem-based news agency explained that under the new legislation, producing and publishing online videos explaining the gospel to Jews and Muslim people in Israel, or people in Israel, and to those who are in any other religious groups, would suddenly become illegal. Then it says, read, church leaders denounce illegal takeover of property by extremist settlers. See this when it says read that, there it is right there, what I'm reading in between it, okay? It goes on to say, publishing books or other printed literature, online articles, podcasts, or other forms of media that explain the life and ministry of Jesus and his message found in the New Testament would also become illegal. So much for freedom of speech, and freedom of religion, huh? The proposal has created friction with American evangelical community who are strong supporters of Israel, and that's what I'm trying to tell you. Again, listen, just because they took some people who are Ashkenazis and they are Israelis and they plant them in the land, just because they're in the land of Israel, does not mean that they're the real people of the book. Does not mean to have any genetic link to the people of the book. That's where you're deceived and you're under a strong delusion. The people are clearly telling you who they are. They don't believe in Yeshua. Not at all. They don't believe in him at all. And for you people to send billions of dollars and make trips over there when you are totally ignorant of the prophecies, I'll tell you what, it makes you question if people ever really truly have the real Ruach or the real Holy Spirit in them. I don't think they do. I think they're following an ideology and a theology, and they don't care if their ideology and theology even is if it's of the rejection of Yeshua, the Messiah himself. The proposal has created friction with American evangelical community who are strong supporters of Israel. Leading evangelical Christians are publicly urging Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to scuttle legislation. According to the Haaretz, apparently Netanyahu and his allies have publicly and privately stressed the importance of evangelical support as U.S. Jews have grown increasingly critical of Israel's rightward shift. It is expected that the bill will be sharply criticized in Washington by both Democrats and Republicans. And then it says, U.S. sympathy for Palestinians at unprecedented level as Israel's image is hit. There it is. Now, thank you, Pastor Rufus, for sending me that. A lot of people, again, if it walks like a duck, if it looks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, then what is it? It's a duck. And what we got today is we got a lot of people ducking truth. We got a lot of people in Messianic roots, Hebrew roots, those who say that they are followers of Messiah, they are ducking the real true truth. Because, you know, when you reject God's people, and I'm talking about his real people that are scattered throughout the diaspora, and you accept someone else that has this type of offense against the real Yeshua Messiah, that means you are a partaker of their sins and you have joined in with them. Because y'all doesn't deal with this coexistence stuff. Let me tell y'all something, man. You better check who you listening to real close, and you better check in what you believe in. You got to ask yourself. Now, I'm going to leave this off with this. When Yeshua had John on the Isle of Patmos to write something in the book of Hazum called Revelations, he gave us two stark warnings in Revelations 2:9 and Revelations 3:9. I think you ought to go read that for yourself, and I pray that the Most High Yah will give you understanding. Is my prayer. The King is coming.